Let's bring in our first guest. He is a graduate of the BYU Marriott School of Management, also a member of the popular singing trio Gentri, and the group kicked off the holidays over the weekend with its annual Christmas show at the Eccles Theater in Salt Lake City. It is our pleasure to welcome Brad Robbins to the Wise Guys. First of all, we're fortunate to have you here, but we love having another BYU fan in our midst.
Oh, 100%, man. It's I'm a true blue Cougar through and through, born and raised.
Yeah. What is the best part about doing the Christmas show?
Oh, man, you're going to put me on the spot like that.
By the way, we're going to do that for about 20 minutes. We're just coming at you with all kinds of things.
It's just nonstop.
I mean, it's hard to nail it down to just one. It is such a rush. And from the very beginning, Christmas has been such a part of our history. I mean, we've been doing it for almost a decade. The Christmas tradition has been going on just about as long. And I think the thing that's most gratifying for me is just to see each year kind of take on its own kind of character of sorts. Like every show is different, and getting to see so many people experience it for the first time. I can't tell you how many times, I mean, you came to our VIP reception before the show.
So awesome.
I mean, we had probably 50% folks coming through that for the first time. And I would ask them, like, how did you hear about the show? And they said, we've heard about it from so many other people. We had to come experience it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Well,
President Oaks was there experiencing it for himself.
Yeah. I was hoping to see President Oaks Elder Oaks in the VIP reception, but he wasn't there. But we saw a lot of other good folks there.
He likes to lay low.
He did come. He just came after kind of everybody cleared out.
That makes
little
sense.
less chaotic.
That's how he rolls.
We have a long history with him from back when he was the president of the university. But I saw people like Stephen Covey there, and who was there? Our old nemesis, but now our really good friend Scott Mitchell was in line with me when we were there.
Scott Mitchell was there. Good.
Former I don't know who's the best Utah quarterback of all time. You could make an argument that Scott's the best quarterback of all time.
I'd vote for him, which means we didn't have to vote for Alex Smith.
True.
So vote for him.
Alex was good. I'm talking about in college. Like he was pretty prolific under Jim Fossil, and then went to play with the Lions and was a starting quarterback in the NFL. Alex was too. It'd be between those two, right? Between Alex, but he was there. There was a lot of fun folks that were at this, and the Eccles Theater. First of all, the performance was phenomenal. Like it was amazing, and I know, and we're going to talk about where you guys are going to be, so people maybe can get a chance if they didn't get to see it in the Eccles Center. But set in that venue, that it just seems like it fit there, and the way you guys use the stage and the staging of it, and man, what's it like to be in the Eccles Center in a full house? To perform. What's that feel like to be up there?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. We've performed all over the country. We've performed parts of the world. And believe me when I say we have one of the most beautiful venues in the world in our backyard in Salt Lake City. The Eccles Theater is, I would put it up there with the Smith Center down in Vegas, which is iconic in its own right. I mean, it is a gorgeous facility. We're so lucky. And to get to call that home every Christmas, every year we go in there. In fact, there's always a moment when, it's a union house, so when the stagehands, they take their break and everybody's off the stage, and I go out there for, just a minute to just soak in the beauty of that venue. I mean, it's I think just under 2,500 seats. You've got that beautiful star ceiling that comes on. You can bring that in. It's right in the heart of downtown. I mean, it's a magical experience even for us, and we never get tired of it.
So when you're singing a song that everybody knows, does that make it harder or easier? Like Silent Night, for example. We all know how it's going to go. So how are you going to do it? Is there a lot of pressure in there?
That's a good question. We have the luxury of a phenomenal music director, composer, and arranger in Stephen Nelson.
Oh, my goodness.
Also
Stephen
a BYU grad, by the way.
Amazing.
Yeah, he has put his musical brilliance into everything that we do. And simply put, and this is just his personality, he will not introduce an arrangement to us unless he has agonized over it for days, weeks, even months. I mean, that is the kind of thought this guy puts into these things. And I think that's part of the intrigue, is that when you come to a show, yes, there's a few originals. We try to, even cover some other maybe more obscure things, but it's all the classics, right? It's Oh Holy Night. It's, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, but they're done in a way that you've never heard them before. Yeah,
there's not a like you did all of the songs that I'd hoped you would do in terms of covers of the classic Christmas songs, but not one single song is done in an arrangement that you've ever heard before. And you sit there and you go, wow, I love this. And I love the thing that you guys do in the show. So Stephen, who's just a musical genius, right? They go out into the audience and they say to somebody, hey, we need two things from you. Like, we need a theme from like a movie.
Yeah, like a movie score, basically.
Right. So at the show that I went to, they picked The Lord of the Rings. Like, I'm like, I don't even know the Lord of the Rings theme song, right? Yeah. And then the other thing that they pick is, what was it? I'm trying to think of the second thing.
So it would have been a Christmas song.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of what they picked.
Oh man, we did so many shows last week.
They did the Justin Bieber. They picked the Justin Bieber mistletoe song. I'm like, okay, this is not gonna, because what he's gonna do is he's gonna right there on the spot create a mashup of these two songs. And I'm like, wow, they just picked that and that? No way. And you can't believe how he put that together.
Well, and the best part was he had no idea what the Justin Bieber song was. So in the middle of the show, he pulls out his phone. And he's listening to it up on YouTube.
He's sitting up on the stage like this.
In fact, he like leans over to me while they're out chatting with the audience, like, "Is this the right song?" I'm like, "I think so."
Yeah, unbelievable. And the crowd just, when you're sitting in an audience and somebody's doing something and everybody just keeps looking at each other, like, can you believe this guy is pulling this off? You know he's done something, right? It was pretty amazing.
There's some dates in Idaho we'll talk about here in a minute for folks who can see Gentri in their Christmas show. Before there was Gentri, however, there was you and your future wife, Shay, starting to date in the summer of 2011. Now, according to my calendar, that's right in the middle of Jimmermania. So what was that atmosphere like as a student, dating your wife, Jimmermania, and did she appreciate Jimmermania as much as you did?
Yeah, I can answer that in one word, and the answer is no. But I, on the other hand, loved it. In fact, I was at the game. I stood in line for the game, I should say, BYU versus San Diego State, right. Jimmer versus Kawhi Leonard, and was there to witness in person that victory. I think I was near the top of the arena, but I didn't care. I was there. I got to experience it live. And that will forever be one of the iconic moments of my BYU student experience.
Yet the roof almost came off that night.
I think it shifted a little bit for sure.
I got to work that game, and it's one of my favorite games ever because the atmosphere was just electric that night.
As a student, though, during all of that on campus, what do you remember? What made it so cool?
I remember it was electric, and sports has always been a part of my life. Like I said, I grew up a BYU fan, and to see success at that level, something that had never, at least to my recollection, had happened in my lifetime, was unbelievable. And then to get to be a student there at the university, it was surreal. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, every time Jimmer would touch the ball, it was truly exciting.
By the way, Brad Robbins from Gentri is here with some of the Wise Guys tonight, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. We're so glad to have you here with us, Brad. Before there was Shay, before there was Jimmer, you were a high school athlete.
Of sorts, we'll say.
You competed in sports, but you were also introduced to performing arts back in the day. What are the similarities between competing at a high level in sports and the performing arts? Are there lessons and crossovers to be learned there?
I was a better athlete because I was a performer, and I was a better performer because I was an athlete, no question. I mean, just like anything. I mean, greatness demands the same things: discipline, practice, rehearsal, and you're going to get it wrong a lot of times before you start to get it right. And I think the other thing is, particularly performing in a trio or whether you're a part of any other kind of production, it is a team sport. I mean, you saw it firsthand at that show. Mm-hmm. I played my role, but the other guys on stage all played theirs. And without them, we're nothing. And not only that, without the people behind the scenes and the months and months of planning that go into it, the coaches, so to speak, I mean, nothing great can happen without all that.
Do you remember back in high school the first song you had to belt out on stage? And how did it go?
I do actually. So this week was actually a culmination of a lot of previous experiences, we'll say. So my junior high choir teacher showed up at the VIP reception the night that you were there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we always do a big give back concert. Yeah. And we bring in, I think this year we brought in folks from over a dozen different foundations. And we honored educators of our past. And I honored my high school choir teacher who gave me a shot, who, it's like the coach that sees something in you can't see in yourself. It's like, you know what? You're unproven, but I'm going to put you in, and you're going to play a key role in this production. And then before that week, even down at Tuacahn, we had two shows down there. And Randy Booth from BYU, the director of Young Ambassadors, was there.
Right.
And to see all three of those teachers who have, in so many significant ways, altered the course and trajectory of my life, be there to see what their contribution has led to was so fulfilling.
That's very cool.
So what was the song?
Man, the first song.
First song where you're in high school and your buddies on your teams are sitting out in the audience going, show me you can do this, because we already know you can shoot baskets and catch touchdowns.
So actually, I know exactly what it was. It was Les Mis.
Les Mis?
So I was cast as Enjolras in Les Mis as a sophomore in high school, and I was terrified that people on my teams would find out.
Sure.
Because
You were
back
trying
then-
to keep your two lives separate?
Back then
100%.
it wasn't a thing.
It was not a thing. In fact, I sat down with my high school choir teacher a few weeks ago, and I asked her about that. And she's like, you really, as far as our school went, pioneered a path that didn't really exist before. There were jocks and there were musicians, but the two did not really mix. And I specifically remember going from baseball practice to musical rehearsal, and then one day coming back to practice, and one of the tougher, senior classmen being like, hey, I saw you in that show last night. And part of me was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, what's he going to say now?
This is where the hazing starts.
You were High School Musical before there was High School Musical.
And you know
That
what he
was
said?
you.
That's right. He's like, because he played basketball and was in the musical.
Yeah.
Except he could dance. I can't dance.
So I just find that awesome, because you're right.
Is it nowadays? Is it cool? Is that okay now?
I think so.
Can you cross over and do both in high school now?
I think so. I mean, even some of the guys that I played football with, some of their younger siblings have gone on. In fact, your daughter touring with Moulin Rouge.
Right, Libby.
Preston Taylor, a good friend of mine.
Yeah, Preston. I love Preston.
So I played football with his brother. And Preston is an athlete. I mean, I don't know that he played any organized sports, but I mean, he's fit. He's athletic. His older brother Lincoln was literally my quarterback, throwing me passes in high school. So
he better be athletic, because Preston was responsible for holding Libby in the air and throwing her around and catching her. And I always was like, these guys better be really good that are doing this. That's my little girl out there that they're throwing around in the air. And I did think at many times, and we saw the show in multiple spots, but I thought, these are some of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. Like the people in performing arts, these big time dancers are phenomenal athletes.
So your message to the kids throughout the world is play football and play the piano.
Well, I wish I played the piano. Yeah, it's one of my biggest regrets.
But do
Absolutely.
it all, right?
Do it all.
And do what you love, right?
Yeah.
If you love to sing or you love to dance and you love football, there's no reason you can't do both of those, right?
I remember as a ninth grader, so the first lead role I ever had, I played Harold Hill in The Music Man.
Yes.
So your Instagram post was very fitting.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I had to do some research.
There you go. I remember walking on stage as the final character in the curtain call, and the theater just erupting in cheers. A lot of my friends were there, and feeling that same euphoric feeling that I had felt, hitting the game-winning hit, scoring the game-winning touchdown, whatever the case may be. I mean, it's electric to be on stage. It's what people joke about at office parties. They do karaoke so they could be a rock star for a few minutes, and we get to do that, and it's amazing. It really is.
So you serve a church mission in Moscow. How vital, or what part of your mission did music? What was that? How big of a deal was that as you went to speak to folks in different languages? But music is universal.
A man said to me, I say a man, it was Merrill Osmond. I did a show with him back in 2008, and I shared a dressing room with him, actually. And he said, do you know why music is so powerful? And he looked at me and he said, it's because it has the power to bypass the conscious and speak directly to the subconscious. And when you're thousands of miles away, stumbling through a very, very difficult language, talking about, religion and things that are very personal to a lot of people, and in some cases they frankly don't want to hear about or talk about, and you open your mouth and start to sing and start to express the feelings of your soul through music, it changes things. And I was very fortunate. I had a mission president who saw the value of music, and we actually did a Christmas tour of the mission area, put together a number of elders and sisters with different musical talents. And it was one of the most magical moments of those 2 years.
I was in Russia for the Olympics in 2014, and preparing this interview, Blaine and I, with you, brought this thought to my mind when we went to Sochi branch. So we got out of Putin's Ring of Steel and got into the town and found this church, and it was like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride to get there. So we were just fascinated that we even got there. But we go up this old elevator, and the door opens, and I hear the organ playing, and I recognize the song. And there wasn't a soul in there that spoke English except for the two missionaries and us. Everyone else was all Russian. But we all knew the song because the organ was playing the music. And that's the first time in my life where I sat there and I go, that's universal. You know, you can sing, "We thank thee, O God, for a prophet," in any country. The organ music is the same. And I just hadn't been in that setting before. And then I thought, there's power in music.
You know, there was a cool experience that I haven't really talked about. Very few people know this, but my mission president's son had just won some very prestigious classical piano competition. I couldn't even pretend to know what it was, but he was flown into Moscow, and they rented out a beautiful theater, and they just invited, investigators and members and different things, and he played a free concert. And keep in mind, I'm not a piano player. I appreciate classical music, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. But from the very first note he started playing until the last note he played that night, I wasn't just captivated. I was moved in a way that I had never been moved before. And I remember specifically going home that night and writing down, whatever I do in my life, I want to do it half as well as he just did that, because of the impact it had on me.
Yeah,
it was an experience unlike any other.
That's cool. You and I talked this summer about you coming on the show, and I was just like, oh yeah, we have to have you on. But when we talked, we said, let's do it at Christmas time, because I know you're going to kick off this kind of Christmas concert series. It'd be just a great time for us to kick off as a show the holiday season. So we're just so thrilled. And if you haven't heard Gentri, on YouTube, people can see your videos.
They're all over YouTube.
Yeah, they're all over YouTube. They do a phenomenal job. And you do what you just described. Like I felt the other night, like, okay, now I'm ready. I'm ready for the Christmas season. I just went to this concert. I was kind of into football season. And with all that's going on with our sports, the crossover season, football and basketball, I hadn't even thought about Christmas, but I came the other night, and I came out of there, I'm like, yes, I'm focused on the Christmas season. I'm focused on Christ right now. How important is that to the mission and the goals that you guys have as you come into this holiday season, to leave people with that, yes, I'm ready. In my heart now, I'm ready for the Christmas season.
It's everything. People ask me a lot, like, don't you hate touring through the Christmas season? Isn't that just awful? And, I think the initial reaction would be, well, yeah, like you're on the road, you're away from family. And then I stopped one day and I realized, no, it's the best job in the world. I get to celebrate Christmas consciously, intentionally, probably more than most people do maybe in a lifetime. I mean, every time we step out on stage, we're bringing that spirit of Christmas through music. And I can't recall a single performance where any one of the four of us didn't just look forward to it.
You got a commitment. We promised to have you out of here in about 20 minutes from 20 minutes ago. So we're going to hit you up with 5 questions real quick. I do want to make mention before we do that, Stadium of Fire 2015, you sang in front of 45,000 people. Was that the biggest stage that you've been on?
It actually has been up since then.
Really?
So 2 years ago, we performed the national anthem for the Cardinals and the Texans. And
Nice.
Funny enough, so our last show on the road this year, December 16th, will be in Mesa, Arizona. The next day, the Cardinals play the Niners, and we'll be at that game singing again.
Oh, that's cool.
awesome.
Sure excited
That'll
about it.
get you over 45.
I've played in front of 80,000+. I just feel like it's so different. I'm in a helmet in my own little world, in my uniform. Nobody can see me. You guys are just out there, and it's you, and they can see you. For me, that's just so much more intimidating than when you can hide behind a helmet.
Yeah, but you guys are good. Brad Robbins of Gentri with us. What's next for you and your family?
So we are expecting a little girl.
Yes.
Oh, actually, I said little girl. We have a little girl. We're expecting another baby. We don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
No,
Okay.
that wasn't an announcement. That wasn't an announcement.
I was like, oh, does Shay know this?
She's like, I thought you were going to say anything. We haven't even told my parents. No.
So, and you guys as a group, so it's awesome. So this will be number 2 for you
number
and
2.
Shay. And Shay's also a performing artist as well, and does a lot of commercial work and film work here locally, which is just great. These guys are a powerhouse entertainment family. And I'm sure the kids will maybe fall in love with it too, which will be great. You mentioned the other night on the show that you guys have an Easter, like a new album that's coming and a tour. Just really quickly tell us about that because we know you got to get moving.
Yeah. And I actually have a couple minutes, so we're okay on time.
Okay.
So we head to Idaho Falls, Boise this next week.
Right.
We'll be doing a few shows up in Logan. They're at the Eccles Theater on Main Street up there. And then, as I mentioned, we go down to Mesa, Arizona, the Mesa Arts Center.
On the 16th.
On the 16th, yeah. And then from there, looking forward, this spring, we're going to be starting a new holiday tradition, an Easter concert tradition. So one of our most beloved albums outside of our traditional Christmas music has been our sacred music. Mm-hmm. And we did an album back in 2018, kind of as a passion project, just something we wanted to do for a while. And it was so well received, we've decided to do another one. So in fact, tomorrow morning, I have another recording session working on this new hymns album, and we're going to bring it all together live, very different from what you saw and experienced. It'll be a full 60-plus piece orchestra, 100-plus voice choir that'll be up there. And I think this sacred music will be done in a way that we haven't experienced quite yet. It's going to be a cool thing.
And is there going to be, are you going to do, so you'll do performances around Easter that go with this then, right?
Yeah, we'll do 2 up in Salt Lake City, same venue, Eccles Theater, and then we're going to take it up to Logan for a couple of shows as well.
So cool.
One thing you've never done is done 5 questions.
Yeah.
And that's about to happen. Are you ready?
It's a
I'm
wise
ready.
guy's
Bring
thing.
it on.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Your favorite sports movie?
It's got to be Remember the Titans.
Titans.
See, I think it's the most popular. It's mine. It's Gavin's. Your favorites?
I like Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Either Hoosiers, but Hoosiers, Titans, Rocky. We've had some great.
Yeah,
picks.
There's just something
great.
about Denzel's, hype
it's
speech.
so
You can't beat
good.
that.
So good. And he holds the ball up with that broken finger, which gives him legit. He's legit.
Oh yeah.
So,
a good one.
your favorite singer or band?
Ooh, favorite singer or band? It depends. Time and place. I'm going to say I'll go Imagine Dragons on this one.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Dan, Dave and I know Dan pretty good.
They're on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah, they're
Dragons.
doing something right in the
He
music
stood on the
world.
sideline with us at the Arizona game a couple years ago down in Vegas. It was really fun. He and Danny Ainge together.
Oh, that's
He was
awesome.
telling us he was a huge Danny Ainge fan growing up.
Well,
Now he
Dan,
and Danny
if
are
you're
good.
listening, we're ready for our collab.
There you go. Favorite breakfast cereal?
Ooh, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay.
That's a great one. Favorite Christmas song to sing?
Oh, Holy Night, hands down.
Really?
That's the one. That's
I
the
thought
moment.
it might be Silent Night, but it's so
That
Holy
was
Night.
that was called the honor solo when I was growing up in high school in choir. I was in concert choir, and we sang that one to close the Christmas concert every year. So I can come
Is
up on
that-
stage, just belt it with you.
Is that because you have to hit the high notes in that one?
Well, no. So I'm usually on the bottom in the triad,
Yeah.
the chord. So no, there's just something about, again, back to BYU alum Steven Nelson. There's something about the way he's arranged that song that is to put it lightly, transcendent.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced something like that. Usually, like, you're able to kind of disassociate yourself while you're singing, but like, it's hard not to just get wrapped up in that moment every time.
Classic.
Yeah. Okay, now your favorite BYU memory. It could be anything.
So I'll put Jimmermania aside for a
Right,
minute because
yeah.
that was obviously amazing. The other, I was thinking about this actually coming into here. The other amazing experience I had was Max Hall to Andrew George in overtime.
Oh,
2009?
yes.
I was in the south end zone and watched that happen.
Yeah.
And then we went into the long, dark.
Yeah. Did you charge
down.
the field?
Of
Did
course,
you- oh, yeah.
absolutely.
We need to get Drew on the. We need to get Andrew on the show.
We've had him on.
Has Andrew been on the show?
Yeah.
Do we need to have him bring his guitar
Well, he's in Colorado,
because
so
he
it's tough
can
to
do
bring his
like
guitar.
Andrew can do Jack Johnson better than Jack Johnson.
Oh, amazing.
He's an excellent guitarist and he can really sing.
So see,
Andrew
he's
George.
doing that athlete musician
Yep.
thing. In fact,
Yeah.
speaking of football, I told my father-in-law I would shout him out here. So fun fact, you played against my father-in-law and his
What?
brother in college.
Where did they play?
So they were up at Utah State. They were D linemen, early 80s, mid 80s.
Oh wow,
All right, say their
Shout out
names.
Jeff and Brian Hunsaker.
that's awesome.
So
Yeah, and they were,
Hunsakers.
and I have to say, back in those days, they were way better than Utah. Utah State was a much bigger rival to us because they competed and were good. They're putting people in the NFL, and Utah wasn't good. We beat the crap out of them back in the early '80s. They're really good now, but back then, Utah State, that was our rival. Back in those
Our
days.
producer Jack has posted "Oh Holy Night" by Gentri.
Oh yes, you guys.
on our
There's
live
there's your
stream
link
for
to it.
everybody.
So we should make you sing because you were in Young Ambassadors, right? We should make you sing "Sometimes Not Often Enough." We reflect upon the good things. Did you guys used to sing that at the end?
You know, I remember hearing it, but after hearing
that's
you sing
Randy's
it,
thing.
I don't think anyone should be singing it but Blaine here.
So we always sing something on the show. But so back in like 1979, the Young Ambassadors, back then called the Sounds of Freedom, came through my hometown in New York. And we had a couple of them stay with us. My sister, Lori, was in Young Ambassadors back in the old days. And they sang that song then. And I saw them like 10 years later, and they sang that song then. They sang it to the people that they stayed with before they got in the bus back in those days. And Gail Lockwood was retiring from the program, and Randy got up on the stage and just stood up and played it, and he sang that song, and it brought back amazing memories. So you guys didn't sing that at the end of when you left back in those days?
No, we were, gosh, I mean, I can't even remember what we sang, but, you know, speaking of Randy, I mean, you talk about BYU legends.
Oh, my goodness.
There's a guy, I mean, since 1970, put in everything he had into this university. And I mean, I can't even fathom the millions of lives across the world that were impacted because of his choice to get into music.
Yeah, Randy Booth, amazing, amazing human.
You can catch the Gentri Christmas show in Idaho Falls on Saturday and Boise on December 5th. In Arizona, we got a lot of folks on the live stream in Arizona, in Mesa on December 16th. Give our best to Casey, Bradley, and Stephen, the foursome with the trio of Gentri. Well, hey, we're proud of you.
Thanks, guys. It's been fun to be on.
So fun to have you on.
Will you come back? We'll come back in the summer when you're hanging around. Come back with us.
100%.
All right. And next time we'll bring your guitar.
Yeah, I'll bring a guitar. I'll bring the guitar and I'll accompany.
We'll play
I'll
Name
accompany
That
Brad, and
Tune.
he can sing. Like I brought it last week and accompanied Libby, and she sang a few things. So, and our love to Shay, and congratulations on the baby. Our Libby that we had on last week is friends with Shay, and they're and give her our love and tell her thanks for sharing you with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys, for having me on. This was
Enjoy
awesome.
Idaho. And by the way, it's the same temperature in Idaho as it is here, so it'll be just perfect for you.
Great.
Great Christmas show coming to Idaho Falls on Saturday. Thanks.